NUTV, are you happy? Is the stream working okay? Brilliant. So this council is starting off a bit differently, as you can tell from the fact that there's more of us at the front than usual. We're starting off with the annual general meeting. As the name suggests, this only happens once a year. And all student members of Newcastle University are entitled to attend, speak, and vote. Just before we get started, I wanted to let you all know that we're trialing, I'm just going to move this so I don't have to lean weirdly. We're trialing something new with our minuting and note taking. We've got a fancy system that our IT people have set up where we've got AI helping us minute today. It's something like it's connected to the speakers and it's taking a transcript and then it goes through Copilot at the end to make a summary. But just to let you all know, because today's the AGM, we've also got a special little prize draw, which will be at student notices at the end of council. Today, we've also got a break at 6:20 p.m. exactly. This is so people who need to break their fast can break their fast. And it'll be a 20-minute break. You can break your fast, go pray, and that's also when we'll be taking out the pizzas. Please, if you're not breaking your fast, be mindful to leave some for the people who won't be in the room because they'll be praying or doing something else. We will also have dates somewhere on the refreshments table. That 20-minute break will also be a great opportunity for if you've not had a chance to get the 4-digit voting code and you are a voting member to go get that 4-digit code, that 4-digit voting code. Okay. So the first thing we have on the agenda is the minutes of the last meeting. Does anyone have any objections to these? Brilliant. We'll take the minutes from the last AGM in 2024 as approved. The next thing we need to do is ratify the trustees of the students' unions. So we've got quite a few of us up at the front, actually. And in case you don't know us, I'll let us all introduce ourselves. Lucy, would you like to start since you're at the end?
Hello, I'm Lucy and I'm the Student Media Officer.
Hi, I'm Alex, the Athletic Union Officer.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm not an officer, I'm a staff member, I'm the Chief Executive of the union, so you're not ratifying me.
She's not a trustee.
I'm not a trustee.
Is that going to reach all the way to the end? I don't know. You might have just one. Oh yeah, that's smart.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, I'm the Education Officer.
Hi, I'm Limi, I'm the Postgraduate Officer.
Hi, I'm Swati, I'm the Activities Officer.
We also have Hisham, our Wellbeing and Equality Officer, who is unfortunately unwell today and can't make it. So us 6 plus Hisham are your sabbatical trustees. We've also got 2 student trustees, Ali Keane and Michael Allen. Are they in the room? Okay. And we've got our 5 external trustees, David Miller, Adrian Druitt, Sarah Winship, Friday Cordingley, and Ian Kitchen. Are we all happy that these are accurate? Are we happy to ratify us trying to do the maths, us 14 as the trustees of the Students' Union? Brilliant, no objections. Now I'd like to hand over to our, I was looking for you, Tony. I'd like to hand over to our Director of Finance, Tony, who'll be presenting the end of year accounts and the appointment of our auditors.
Won't be needing that. Okay, so we have the accounts on screen. They're rather small, so I'm assuming that you've all had a chance to look at them with the papers that were issued. So the audit accounts were presented to the Finance and Risk Committee last November for approval, and they were signed off by the Trustee Board in December. They've also since been filed with Companies House and Charity Commission, and they are available on the NUSU website. So the accounts are fairly weighty set of documents, so I'll draw your attention to some few key highlights. I'll move on to that page in a second, but pages 17 to 20 of the accounts reflect the auditor's opinion and their responsibilities. And here they confirm that the accounts give a true and fair view of the state of our financial affairs for the SU, and that they've been prepared in accordance with UK GAAP which is generally accepted accounting practice, and also Companies Act requirements. There are further details of the key areas covered in pages 5 to 9 of the auditor's final management report, which was also shared with the agenda. And we've received a nice clean audit report this year, which is the ultimate goal, obviously. So there are no real findings or adjustments to highlight within that report. So back to the accounts. And on page 21, which is the display on the screen, we've got the consolidated SOFA, or the Statement of Financial Activities. And this details the income and expenditure for the year with comparative figures for the previous financial year. So if your eyesight is really good, I'll draw your attention to the two end columns, two total columns at the end. So here you'll see that both income and expenditure have increased significantly in 2024, largely within trading services. Now, this is following the Wetherspoon franchise within Luther's, where we saw an increase in sales activity and the grants for the bar refurb, as well as an increase in the associated costs of running a busy bar. On the same page, if you look at column 1, headed up General Fund, this is where the impact of any surplus or deficit is reflected within the year. So 23-24 was a turbulent year for many reasons, and this impacted on a number of areas financially across the SU. And despite the success of the bar franchise, generating more than £1 million turnover in its first year, there were also additional costs for staffing and staff training, as well as large one-off setup costs to factor in. And as such, we ended the year with a consolidated deficit of 86,000. 63 of that within the charity and 23 within the trading company or the co-op. And this is reflected towards the bottom of this page in the first column, where you'll see the movement in the general fund balance. And the general fund balance, the general fund is our free reserves effectively. So they have moved down to 192,000 from 278. If we move on to the next page, please, if that is possible. This page is, no, okay, fair enough. The next page is the consolidated balance sheet. So two key highlights to note here. Both the cash at bank and the current liabilities are down on the prior year, and that mainly relates to the block grant. So in 22-23, we received the first instalment of the 23-24 grant early. So we had to defer that, and which in turn increased the creditors due in 1 year. There was no early payment of the grant in the 23-24 accounts, hence the difference. Moving on to creditors falling due after 1 year. This has dropped down from 270,000 to 180,000, and that reflects the repayment of loan that we've made back to the university that we got for the introduction of the co-op. The next page, 23, is the charity balance sheet. So essentially that just strips out all of the trading company figures and presents just the charity figures. And the next page that I want to talk about is page 24, which is the consolidated cash flow statement. And essentially that just represents the cash or cash equivalents and their movement within the year, and how this relates back to the cash at bank figure on the consolidated balance sheet. The remaining pages within the accounts, about 20 pages or so, are notes to the accounts which give further explanation to some of the balances detailed within the main statements. So the SOFA and the balance sheet. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I realised that was a lot of numbers. Are we all still here? Are we all still awake? Brilliant. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Tony before he moves on to the auditors? All right, Tony, would you be all right to go through the appointment of the auditors, please?
Yes. So last year we had last year, as in 22-23, we had UNW as our auditors, and that they came to the end of a 5-year term, so we had to go out to tender. We did a joint tender process with Durham and Northumbria RSUs to try and achieve some economies of scale, try and get a cheaper price for us all collectively. It didn't quite work out that way, but we have now all three of us gone and opted with the same auditor, which is a new auditor for all three of us. So an auditor that hasn't been used for, I don't think at all with NUSU, and that's Armstrong Watson. They did the audit for the accounts that I've just presented there, and the tender process was to appoint them for a 3-year period with possible further extensions depending on performance.
Thank you, Tony. Does anyone have any questions about the auditors? Brilliant. Tony, feel free to head back to your seat. Thank you. Okay, so that's the end of the financy parts of tonight, which I'm sure most people will be quite pleased about. The next thing we've got on the AGM agenda is the impact report. Now, fortunately for us, our wonderful marketing teams prepared a video summarizing our impact in 2023. 2023, 2024.
That's right, yeah.
Yes. So something's different in my notes, then I realized that's not right. So you won't have to sit here and listen to me read through the entire thing or go through an entire speech. We can just watch the lovely video. I hope Lindsay and I didn't block that screen too much. We did not think that. Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions, I suppose, about the impact report? Anything NUSU got up to 2023, 2024? Great. Okay. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to address as part of the AGM? I cannot hear you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It is. It's not massive. It's statistically valid, isn't it? I'm not hearing John, so that works.
But is that not?
Normally around about, sorry, I use that. I want to say 1,200-ish, so it's not the best.
Are you going to get a bit of selection bias there as well?
Absolutely, because they're engaged.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that.
Would it be helpful if we found the number and then sent you an answer via email to James? Is that something?
I would,
Have you
yeah,
got it?
but I think I'd quite like to almost see the data as a whole, or have that published for the entire sort of student council to be able to see and get a proper idea of what's going on. Is that all right?
I've got the numbers here. It's 1,648 to be exact. Dan's just messaged in. But yeah, we've got this full survey report that we could definitely put onto the website if it's not already there. That's not a problem
Okay,
at all.
that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you, James. Does anyone else have any questions about the impact report, the finances, the auditors? Okay, wonderful. Do you have the affiliations?
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Okay. We also just give a notification of affiliations. So at the AGM, we don't have to kind of ratify affiliations. We just notify, and there's just one affiliation to make you aware of, and that's our affiliation of National Union of Students. We were affiliated to them in 23-24, and we are continued to be so. We've just done the referendum, which we do every 3 years, and we got 71% of the turnout of that. It wasn't 71% turnout, that would be like a miracle. But it was just over 5%, but 71% of the students in that vote voted for us to stay within the National Union of Students for the next 3 years.
Thank you, Lindsay. So that takes us to the end of the AGM. We'll have a couple of minutes just while we're swapping over to the other chair. So if you're a voting member and you don't have the voting code yet, please make sure you get it off Laura at the back of the room. Thank you, everyone.
We all ready? Oh. If we're all ready, then we'll make a start. Oh. So in Claire's absence, I'll be chairing today's council. I'll just repeat Leo's message earlier that we are trialing a new AI way of collecting minutes for council. So can I please remind everybody to please speak very clearly, and when you do speak, either speak very loudly or use the microphones. And when you're speaking for the first time, please introduce yourself. Or if you haven't spoken in a while, introduce yourself as well, just for the sake of clarity in the minutes. Oh, yes. We'll also be taking a break at 20 minutes past 6, again, for people to break fast. And that break will be 20 minutes long. So I will, well, don't let me forget. I hopefully won't. But we will break then, no matter where we are in the order paper. Moving on to minutes from the previous meeting. There were, I ask for objections? Any objections to the minutes from the previous meeting or any questions? They're accepted then? Okay. Okay, moving on to the steering committee report. We had one objection to the steering committee report. If I could invite Oliver to please come and explain.
Hi, just a pretty basic point. We've got just 2 of the roles we're hoping to elect through council today were either not listed or not properly listed in steering. We didn't list that we're putting a place in the scrutiny committee up for election today, and we listed the parents and guardians officer as a councillor role, not a liberation officer role. So just hoping to amend that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. As I can't see Lin Ming, but as Lin Ming was the one who submitted the report, you're welcome to come up and say something about taking an amendment. Yeah, yeah. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. 1 second.
I don't actually know. Am I going to the front or are you passing the mic? Are you giving it back here? Oh, that's fine. Brilliant. Oh, I'll take it as well, rather than trip over all the wires. Yeah. Oh no, I need to go to the camera for the questions and dates. Hi. Okay.
Okay.
Hello. So it's just a clarify for the election of vacant councillor position. Actually, it's the liberation officer position. It's the student parents and the guardians and the carer officer role to be filled. And we still need one scrutiny committee member. It's one place available now. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Also, just a point of information, even though those two things went on the steering report, they are in the order paper. So, thank you. Okay. Would anybody else like to speak for or against? For or against accepting the report as it is now? If not, we'll just go to a vote, whether to accept the report as is or not. If anybody doesn't have the voting code, please collect it from... No, to accept the report as it is now or not, otherwise it will be sent to next council. Yes.
The IDs on the top, type that number. Sorry, what happened?
I'll correct myself that Lynn came not to speak on an amendment, but just to clarify what the issue was, as she was the person who had submitted the report. Was that proposing an amendment or raising an objection?
This feels to me entirely like a procedural amendment that can just be friendly. It doesn't need voting on, really, I don't think.
Reports can't be procedurally amended.
This feels quite silly, but okay.
It's maybe it does. We're voting on accepting the report as it was given to us, or not. Yes, because there cannot be an amendment. I don't make the... To fully clarify, for those who are voting, it's yes to accept as it is written and no to reject the report. Who's controlling it? Oh. Is it Laura controlling the poll? Okay. Okay. They just won't, will they? Okay, we'll close the vote there then. Okay. So the steering committee report's been rejected, and let me think. And a corrected report will be brought to next council. Okay. Moving on to scrutiny committee and scrutiny committee report, no objections were raised, so these are also passed. Okay, moving on to the State of the Union report, I'd like to invite Leo, the President, to come and speak. Of course.
Is that thank you. Thank you. Okay, are we saving the questions for after the iftar break?
Yeah, just go ahead and we'll
Okay.
figure it out.
Well, this is the State of the Union for. Can I take this off, or will NUTV kill me? Okay. So this is the State of the Union for March, and it's been a busy couple of months since the last Student Council, and we hope you're enjoying term 2 and the slightly warmer weather so far. We had a massive voter turnout. I say massive, but it's the largest we've had in a while at elections this year. And I wanted to say a special thank you to student media for their incredible coverage of elections. So, round of applause for student media. And while we're on the topic of student media, I've also been informed that they've got 9 national student media awards this year. So best of luck to our teams going down to the award ceremony, and another round of applause to student media. While we're on the topic of awards, because it seems it's all about awards at the moment, we'll be hosting the Celebrating Success Awards and the Education Awards in May. So far, we've had over 600 nominations for the Celebrating Success Awards and over 300 nominations for the Education Awards, and we are really excited to start going through these and seeing what incredible things people have been up to. If you've not nominated anyone, please nominate yourself or your friends or your teammates or your course mates or your flatmates or your lecturers, personal tutor, wellbeing advisor, librarians. These are all people you can nominate for at least one of the awards. So in terms of what we've been up to since last Student Council, our big focuses at the moment have been around supporting students during industrial action and our action priorities. Under the sort of industrial action umbrella of things, we've been holding industrial action drop-ins on all strike days. So if you have any questions, please feel free to come have a chat with us. All of the locations, times are on the NUSU website. We're also working with NUS to coordinate national campaigning on funding and maintenance, which so far has included meeting one of the Newcastle MPs, who's promised to write to Jackie Smith to ask for the plans for sustainable higher education funding. And we'll be going down to London in April for the All Parliamentary Party Group on Students, where the discussion topic will be funding. And that is a mouthful. And we will be meeting another one of the Newcastle MPs there who has agreed to come meet us. On the topic of funding, we've also got an open lecture out at the moment on sustainable higher education funding, so please sign it if you haven't. And this will be sent off to MPs and the Secretary of State for Education, yes. On the challenging stigmas front of things, Swati and I have been conducting research on our project on decolonising NUSU, and Lucy and Alex are currently preparing a consent and sexual health event on the 28th of April called Bring Your Own Boundaries, so keep an eye out for that one. And improving the academic experience, Hisham has been preparing an exam wellbeing campaign for the summer exam period, and Jasmine's been running a dissertation support survey, which so far has over 300 responses and will be closing at the end of March. So again, if you've not had a chance to fill this in, take a look at it. We've also been hosting presentation and Q&A sessions with the university's investment managers. This is around ethical investment specifically. If you've not had the chance to join any of these yet, the next one is on the 25th of March with Janice Henderson, and will be in the Warkworth room, which is the one near the red sofas with the glass walls that looks kind of like a fish tank. Last week, we also had the chance to visit the refurbished Kingsgate space, which we think looks a lot nicer than it did before. And I think that'll be open to students probably end of this academic year, start of next academic year-ish, and hopefully you'll like it. You might have also seen some things floating around about tuition fee rises and a new campus in India, so I just wanted to clear that up. For the tuition fee rises, there should be comms coming out from the union and the university very soon, which will have more information on how this may affect you. And on the campus in India front, we've had a chat with the VC around this. He's not planning on building a campus in India. There are plans to expand teaching to India, and if you go to the digital report, there's more information linked there. They are planning on expanding teaching to India, but that doesn't mean building an entirely new campus. This is not in the written report, but I had an update from a motion that was passed at, I want to say, November Council around that mandated us to speak to Northumbria Police at the next Community Unity meeting around police presence on campus during protests. This has happened. I'm waiting for them to speak to the people running the complaints and send me an update, which I'll be able to bring back to the student body. And that's it for this month's State of the Union report.
Thank you.
Do you need help with the microphone? Do you need it? No, you don't.
I'm just being mindful of time. There might be some questions and or objections to Leo's State of the Union report, and we are in need of a 20-minute break. So we'll take that break now and save any questions or objections for after the break, if that's okay with everybody. We'll be back at 6:36, please. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed their break. We'll leave. We'll go from where we left things with Leo's State of the Union report, and if there were any objections or questions for them, and possibly a correction.
Or corrections to the report.
As mentioned, 28th of April.
Yes, sorry, not the 28th of April,
No, yes.
Yes, the 28th of April. I've been informed that Kingsgate is opening this academic year. It should be the 28th of April.
Any other questions for Leo? Okay, thank you. We'll take that as the State of the Union. You can.
No, I can't.
Oh, you can't. Oh, yes, okay. Moving on to sabbatical officer questions and mandates, I'll ask Tom to come and take my place while we do this. Please, the rest of the sabbatical officers join us. Thank you.
This is great. Get used to this.
Tom, do you want us to introduce ourselves?
Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, because I didn't actually introduce myself when I gave my report, did I? I'm Leo, and I'm the union president.
I'm Jasmine. I'm the education officer.
I'm Swati. I'm the activities officer.
Hello, I'm Lucy and I'm the student media officer.
Hello, I'm Limi. I'm the postgraduate officer.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm the athletic union officer.
Does anyone have any questions for our lovely sabbatical officers? Yes, George.
Hi guys. So I already gave Jasmine a warning, sorry for the blindsiding limbing, but a question for both, either or of you. So obviously there's quite a lot of action going on about strikes and ASOS with the UCU at the moment. And I know I've asked you this in private, but I thought it'd be better to bring it in a public forum as well. So obviously we have quite a lot of PGRs, PGTAs across campus that are members of UCU and maybe considering similar action themselves, be it short of a strike or strike action. And I wanted to ask what provisions NUSU has in place, what provisions you have in place to support not only the students who are impacted by striking, but the students who will be striking themselves.
So during this period, we have the industrial action dropping, and in different places around the NUSU building, and students can come here to chat with us about their experience during this time, and we can deliver their voice to the I forgot the meeting's name, continuity, right? Continuity committee. It's just focus on the industrial meeting.
In terms of PGR and PGTA students specifically, we have our meetings with our school reps, and that's kind of where we use them as a sounding board really for how people are feeling, especially about industrial action. And it's quite rare that we have a lot of PGRs attending those meetings, but whenever we do pick up on specific support that's needed in those areas, we always make sure that we are there for students who are, as you say, both impacted and partaking if they are, just as we support every other student. Obviously, PGR students have no obligation to declare to us if they are striking, but the message that we would give to those students, as well as every other student, is it doesn't matter what your opinion is on the industrial action, we are here to talk and support everybody and signpost to relevant support.
Any other questions? No? Excellent. Please take your seats. And me.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. We'll move on to officer reports and executive committee minutes. There were no objections raised to any of the minutes and reports that were submitted. I trust that everybody in attendance has read the papers, but attached was the Student Parents, Guardians and Carers Officer report, which detailed their resignation from the role for the rest of this academic year, just as a notice. So there were no objections to the minutes or reports, so we will take them as accepted, including the resignation of Becky. Oh. Has it not? Oh, yes, it is. Okay. Now that that position is free, we can now elect a new student parents, guardians and carers officer for the rest of the academic year. I would have invited Hisham to come and speak thank you, explain the role, but he is not here. Do we still need to explain it? If anyone would like to? Or someone on my left? Who can I see? Okay. So is Jaden in the room? Jaden Sivakumar? Hello. Would you like to come and explain the role as a member of WALEC? Thank you. I'm having fun.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Jaden Sivakumar, as has been stated. I'm the Ethnic Diversity Officer. So, rundown of this role. I believe the basics are similar to other liberation roles until it has been made into a council position now, has it? It's the liberation branch. Yeah, as all liberation roles, this person will be the representative for any student who is either a parent, guardian, or carer. You'll be the voice and point of contact for all of these students. You'll represent them in the student union just to ensure that their voice is heard. It is a very important position because we have many students who may have difficulties while also providing for a family or a family member and relative. So hearing their voice and their concerns is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaden. If anybody in the room would like to put themselves forward for this Liberation Officer position, please come and speak to Harris. If not, we did have somebody submit their interest before, Anuka Pereira. If there are no objections to their application, thank you, then we can take them as elected. They did. Okay. If there are no further questions or objections, then Anuka Pereira is then elected as the new Student Parents, Guardians and Carers Liberation Officer for the rest of this academic year. Okay, moving on to motions. We have the motion, let me just, yeah. Okay, we have two formal motions to address today. The first is the motion of no confidence in the International Students Officer. Now, for both of these formal motions, I'll just quickly mention that anyone with an interest that may alter their judgment from an impartial observer should please declare it if you come to speak for, at any point during these motions. Thank you. Okay, please can I invite Tom as the Chair of Scrutiny Committee to come and speak. Thank you. You can just stay.
So just before I start, I will declare my role as Chair of Scrutiny. So I brought both this motion and the next one as part of my formal NUSU role. I will read out the motion. I am not going to pass opinion on it. It's for you to decide. So SAG strategy and guidance document C, section 16 says failure to attend Students' Union Council without legitimate prior notice will result in that person losing their seat on Students' Union Council. If the councillor is an officer, this will automatically trigger a vote of no confidence in the following council, which is what this motion is. The International Students Officer has missed 3 councils without apologies. The Students' Union Council resolves to vote no confidence in the Students' Union Officer, in the International Students Officer. As part of this vote of no confidence, the officer will no longer be in office with immediate effect.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Tom? Yes, Reese?
Would this lead to there being a vote for a new international students officer for the remaining 2 months, or would the elected international students officer in the most recent elections take over immediately?
So the position will be vacant until the next council, at which the position will be open for re-election, potentially.
Harris?
As a point of information, because the vote happened at this council, if it gets voted through, that'll be vacant at that point as per our election regulations. He wouldn't vote in for the rest of the academic year. So no, there will be an election at the next council for that in the next year, as it would be in any case.
Cool.
Thank you, Tom. Would anybody like to speak for or against this motion? Okay, in which case we'll go to a vote. It's fine, I never went ahead anyway. Lose it yourself. Okay. Yep. Okay, we'll close that vote now. And okay. The motion of no confidence in the International Student Officer has passed. Passed. It's double negative. Okay. Okay, following that is very similar motion of no confidence in the Student Parents, Guardians and Carers Officer, and I'll invite Tom to speak again for this one. Thank you.
Me again. So again, I will say that I'm the chair of scrutiny, and I'm going to pass to you an unbiased case based on the facts. Just a point of information: this is not for the students, parents, guardians, and carers officer that we've just elected. This is for the outgoing officer. So again, strategy and guidance document Annex C, section 16 says failure to attend 3 students' union councils without legitimate prior notice will result in that person losing their seat on students' union council. If the councillor is an officer, this will automatically trigger a vote of no confidence at the following council, which is what this motion is. The student, parents, guardians and carer officer has missed 3 councils without apologies. To vote a no confidence, and we resolve to vote a no confidence in the students, parents, guardians and carers officer. And as part of this vote of no confidence, the officer will no longer be in office with immediate effect.
Thank you. Any questions for Tom? Okay, thank you. Okay, would anybody like to speak for or against this motion, please? Swati?
Hi. I'd just like to clarify that this is a little bit of a procedural thing that we've been talking about for the last couple of days, because obviously she's resigned, but it's also a vote of no confidence. She has given us valid reason as to why she hasn't apologized, though not at the time where she needed to apologize. She's got kids. Yeah, so that's me.
Thank you. Thank you. Leo?
I want to speak against this motion. I know it's come through as a formality, but if you read her resignation, she's leaving this role, and she has chosen to, on top of being voted of no confidence, because she doesn't feel she's had the support needed in order to do this role. And to me, it feels incredibly unfair to acknowledge that this is somebody who feels she's not had the support needed in order to carry out this role, and then still give her a vote of no confidence when she's chosen to step back anyway. So I think it's right that she is removed from this role, but she's done so already, and I don't think there's a point in giving her a vote of no confidence as well, especially when she's leaving this because she feels she hasn't had the support she needed, because I think that reflects more on us than it does on her.
Thank you. George?
Yeah, Leo captured that really well. I was going to speak against this motion. Full disclosure of my interest, I'm a member of Scrutiny Committee, and I voted against bringing this motion in Scrutiny Committee. I think, she's offered a resignation. To me, this feels like a load of bureaucratic nonsense, and it seems a bit null and void to me because she's already resigned. Why are we doing this? Why are we, kicking? Why are we kicking the dog when it's down?
Thank you. Oliver?
As another member, as another member of Scrutiny Committee who also, for full information, voted against bringing this motion to council. Yeah, I'm against this motion. I think it's a waste of council time, and I think it's the sort of, bureaucratic pettiness that we see in student politics that might discourage a parent or guardian from putting themselves forward to represent their community in the student union. So,
Thank you. Okay. Would anybody like to speak for the motion? Okay, if not, we'll go to a vote. Thank you. Yes. Okay, we'll close that vote. Okay, The motion of no confidence has not passed. Okay, moving on to constitutional motions. Our first one is the creation of Stage 1 engagement representative role, and I would like to invite Oliver to come and speak about this one.
So, hi everyone. I think it's important to start off by saying I'm a Stage 1 student myself, who's been quite involved in NUSU this year. So, to get on with the motion, as highlighted at the end of the last open debate, and by how surprised everyone was that I was running in the elections as a Stage 1 student this year, I think we have a real lack of first-year engagement with NUSU's internal politics, which I think, and hope you'll agree, is unideal when first years are probably going to be impacted by NUSU's decisions for longer than any other student group. As a Stage 1 student myself, I found last year that it's been very difficult to get involved in all parts of NUSU, and you're very much sort of left on your own to basically mess things up till you figure out what you're actually supposed to be doing. So I hope to introduce this Stage 1 engagement rep role to make NUSU more approachable and digestible for first-year students, and increase the number of Stage 1 students coming to council, sitting on committees, and generally getting involved in making decisions at NUSU. This doesn't mean this rep couldn't help with other areas of NUSU as well. I expect the role to mostly be a promotion/PR person, which will likely entail, for example, running stands at Freshers Week and other events to increase awareness of NUSU and its decision-making bodies. And then part like in-house engagement strategist, looking to help any decision-making body get more first-year involved. I've kept the exact description of where they're supposed to help out purposely non-specific, so that they can help out wherever's needed and wherever seeing the lowest Stage 1 engagement year on year. And yes, so that's the argument for it, basically.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Oliver? Yes. Oh, sorry. Swati.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how and when it would be elected. Would it be at council?
Yes, sorry, that's something I should have clarified. Yes, it will be elected at the last student council of the year for the following academic year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Oh, a lot of questions.
yeah, Reese next, yeah.
Is a role entirely needed for this, or is it just a change in how the SU interacts with first years, particularly when it comes to student council? Because for the most part, you literally will not see anything as a first year when you come in about student council existing. Is that just something that needs to be passed on to schools in the induction talks and things, and just to get a better idea rather than necessarily having a person come in altogether?
So, yeah, I think that's definitely something we need to change as well, but I think also having a named person to help with Stage 1s, because part of this role as well is going to be facilitating Stage 1 engagement, which I've written into the job description. Part of the role is going to be facilitating Stage 1 engagement, which is going to be helping out Stage 1s with roles they may have chosen to take on. I think having a named person specifically for a Stage 1 to approach, rather than say an opportunities officer where it's a bit difficult for a Stage 1 to figure out who the right person might be, as having a named Stage 1 engagement rep says, you know, this is the person for you to come to, which is why I think it's helpful.
George?
Yeah, so this is a really good idea. I really like the motion. Obviously, it's a constitutional motion. It can't be amended at this stage. But I just wonder if, given that a lot of schools do have stage reps, whether it would be a better idea, maybe at a subsequent council, to have stage reps represented at the NUSU level. And then I suppose on the back of that, I wanted to know, is this representative role a substantive member of the education executive, or is it purely sort of figurehead?
So I think that's a very good point. It was something that Leo brought up after last council as well. I think, yeah, so this is more going to be around, I think one of the crucial distinctions between this and a stage rep in a school is that this is going to be very much around helping students get involved with NUSU, get involved with decision-making bodies, not necessarily, whereas stage 1 reps is obviously, stage reps are obviously more around the academic side of things, helping students with their studies in that particular school. On the part of getting stage reps more involved in NUSU, yeah, I think that's something we really need to do. And I think we also need to potentially, in future, look at getting stage reps in more schools. Particularly, I'm undergrad school rep for HCA. We don't have stage 1 reps there. I think it's something we really need to keep pushing. So yes, I agree with that. But I think this role does still have distinct uses. Yes, sorry. We've kind of put them in EdExec for now, but we'll sort of, I imagine they'll be decided throughout the year in terms of where the focus ends up going. That might be removed by a later constitutional motion to change the role, and so we'll see how that goes.
Yes, at the back, I can't see. Oh, Lily.
So you mentioned that the role would be elected at the end of one academic year, which means that going into the start of the next academic year, the person representing all of the stage ones would no longer be a stage one themselves. Assuming that the intention of the role is to kind of basically gauge some awareness on exactly where the stage ones in a specific cohort or a year of students are, outside of increasing awareness at, I know you mentioned the Freshers events when NUSU do already have a stall there, so it may be about just increasing that presence. But as the year progresses, do you think someone who's not a first year will be able to act as basically an acceptable rep for first year students?
So that's a really good point raised. But part of the reason I'm calling it stage one engagement rep and not just stage one rep overall is because it's trying to get stage one students to speak on their own for themselves rather than have someone speak on behalf of them. And as I've said before as well, this is about facilitating stage one students to get more involved, to help them out with any roles they take on. So I think, yeah, I did go over that detail a lot, but I think there's two problems with electing it at the first council of the year. The first of which is, as I say, that we'd miss out on Freshers Week, which is obviously the best time to get stage ones involved with anything. And also, yeah, as I say, it's about facilitating stage one engagement reps as well. It's not, I don't want them to speak on behalf of all stage one students. I want to empower stage one students to speak for themselves. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to speak for or against Oliver's motion? Yes, please.
I'd like to speak against the motion. I don't think fundamentally electing another officer will fix any of the issues with first year engagement, because you're not creating any more ways for them to interact other than essentially them filling in casual voting spaces. It's like there needs to be a specific role and a way for a first year to actually attend student council that isn't a sort of random draw for the most part. Or you have to attend student council and then get elected onto a committee if that is achievable at that time and if they know enough about what's going on, which doesn't feel particularly achievable either.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Kaz?
I'd like to speak for the motion. The reason being is, while I agree it can be confusing sometimes, like what new opportunities are going to be made, what is this officer going to do, these are all valid questions. As a first year student myself, I also agree that it's been really difficult to find opportunities. I actually ended up here by chance because I was speaking with Laura one day and she mentioned council was happening. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here. I will say, though, the reason that I think this role is necessary is I worked as a student rep in the business school for ethnic diversity and chair of rep for the business management school. Working with the union to push through motions and interact with the business school was difficult because a lot of the stuff I wanted to talk about was first year related, and it was really difficult to find who was exactly in charge of getting first year voices heard. And because I couldn't find that person, I had to spend around 2 months until I found Joe, but then Joe had to quit, and then all those motions had to go on the floor. So I think putting this role, putting a person's name there, would really help speed things along, where someone's new, someone wants to make a change, they don't have to go around chasing people and see who's who. Having a clear named person would really help. That's all.
Thank you. Yes.
So my name is Aradhya, and I would like to speak for this motion. As a stage 1 student myself, it was really hard to come into this part of the student union. I actually came through CAS. So he came through Laura, I came through CAS. And it took me a lot of time to get into this part of the student union. So yeah, I would really like a person to be there for me to go through, if I was a stage 1 student again, to me to go through and just ask, like, how do I get into this situation and how do I do this? So yeah, I would like to put a name to a person to go through. So yeah, that's why I'm speaking for this motion.
Thank you. Swati?
Yeah, I'd like to speak for this motion. I think at NUSU we do a lot of work on to engage stage 1 students, and I honestly think that if you think about sabbatical officers, we try our best to represent all students, but in reality we're pretty far removed from first year students. Like, most of us have been at university for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. and so I just think it'd be really great to have someone whose entire kind of job description was representing those students, just because I don't think we do it effectively enough.
Thank you. Yes, one more person at the back, and then we'll go to a vote after this person has spoken. I can't see your videos.
I'd like to speak against this motion and actually almost repeat what Swati's just said, in that I think that's a really key point, that so many officers are involved in this, and I think it overlaps with existing roles, and I think it actually is the responsibility of all the officers to try and really boost engagement with the stage 1 community. But I think one of the failures currently with student council is actually that there's a lack of engagement with almost all the stages. We've got a very empty room tonight, and when we're meant to be representing the entire university. And so I think actually, though I really love a lot of what this motion stands for, I think it could be increased to cover like all the stages, and that's why it needs change with, and it needs all the officers to like, try and push for more engagement. And that's why I'm speaking against it.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, we'll go to a vote then. Hello? Yes. I'll give him a chance. 44. I was just going to ask how they're doing it. Yeah. Okay. Despite, technical difficulties, we'll close that vote now. Thank you. Okay, the motion is passed. Okay, we'll move on to our next constitutional motion, which is updates to strategy and guidance document Annex J. Excuse me. Thank you. The procedure of scrutiny committee. I'll invite Tom to speak on this motion. Thank you.
Me again, sorry. I promise this is one of the last times I'll be up here. I'll just use the first bit of my talk to tell you how Scrutiny Committee works currently, according to Strategy and Guidance Document J. So currently, we get the minutes from the operational group, and then we're meant to sit in a room, look through those minutes and go, oh yeah, this officer's doing a good job, or that officer isn't. As you can probably understand, that isn't a really great way of doing it, because there's nothing in SAGJ that says we have to see the officers that we're scrutinizing face to face. So that's the first point. So the first bit we're doing is, and we've been trialing this all year, we've been having half scrutiny committee and half of the officers meeting face to face once a month to talk through what they've been up to, bring their concerns to us, our concerns to them, and so it's open and transparent, and that helps us find out what they're doing instead of being like a faceless monster scrutiny committee that sends an email once a month saying you're doing great or you're not doing so great. So that's the first bit of it. And then the second bit of it is that we've discovered that scrutiny committee doesn't have a way of investigating officers. So you would anticipate that scrutiny committee would be able to look into anything that they might have an issue with. We've found that this is no longer the case. It used to be the case, but through other motions, it is no longer the case. So the bit we've added is that scrutiny committee, if after a thorough think and a 2/3 majority vote of the scrutiny committee, we will be able to look into any concerns that we might have, obviously with sufficient staff support and everyone being involved. The full details are in the motion and in the updated guidance document, and I'm very happy to answer any questions, but also to say that I've spoken to all the sabbatical officers, I've sent Leo the copy, and I've spoken to various members of staff around the room, and this has been a joint venture, and it's backed by Scrutiny Committee.
Thank you. Any questions for Tom?
Sorry, I've just picked up on this now, but I've noticed 33D refers to the Director of Membership Services, which isn't going to be a role that exists in a couple of weeks' time. Is it possible to amend this as a friendly amendment?
If we have the name of the person who is going to be, the name that's going to be, then I will happily take a friendly amendment.
I mean, I assume it would still be. It would be Head of Wellbeing and Advocacy.
Advocacy. Okay, I am happy to make a friendly amendment to change the wording of that to the Head of Membership and Advocacy.
Head of Wellbeing and Advocacy.
Wellbeing,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Would anybody like to speak for or against this motion? George?
Hello, yes, I'd very much like to speak in favour of this motion. So in its current form, scrutiny committee, we've been experimenting with meeting with some of the SABs face-to-face and doing things that way. It's far more effective, and it is a much more collaborative, open, transparent way of sort of scrutiny. It's a very harsh word, and it's not what we like to think of ourselves as doing. We like to sort of, just keep an eye on things, keep tabs on things. It's not as under a lamp interrogation as it might sound. So currently, scrutiny isn't really empowered to do anything. It's about as useful an instrument for scrutiny as a packet of Haribos. It doesn't do anything other than reading these minutes and the things we've been experimenting with, which are quite effective. This actually empowers scrutiny to do some things that would go alongside scrutinizing and improves the structure of scrutiny overall to be more transparent, accessible, and inclusive.
Thank you, George. Leo?
I did second this motion, so I am speaking in favor of it. As an officer who's been kind of put through's the wrong word, scrutinized under this new method of scrutiny, I've found it really helpful and effective. I feel it holds us a lot more accountable, and I do think as officers we should be held accountable by students. And it's also just been really helpful because the members of scrutiny committee aren't the people you work with every day, but they learn about your projects and what you're doing, and they'll point out kind of like questions or flaws or loopholes you hadn't considered, and that is really, really helpful. So yeah, this new method of scrutiny works well. Please vote for it.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay, we'll go to a vote then, just remembering that 33D will not say Director of Membership Services, it will be changed to Head of Wellbeing and Advocacy. Okay, we'll open the vote. Okay, we'll close that vote. Thank you. Well, that's passed. Okay, we have one late notice motion, which is SAG-C updates, and I'll invite Swati to speak on this one.
Can I invite our Chief Executive to speak on this one, please?
Yes.
Hello, hi. This is just very a simple motion, and the reason I'm speaking on it because it's kind of just a tidy up to do with staffing, but I can't propose motions, so Swati's done that for us. So recently the organisation's gone through restructure. So from 1st of April, people have moved roles, and there's been quite a few changes in job titles as well. So this motion is just tidying up the constitution because the membership of some of those meetings has changed to new roles, and some of the roles are just a change of job titles as well. So it is just an update to accurately reflect who will be on what meetings, such as operational group and some of the committees as well. So it's all relating to staff roles, not to any officers.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much. Would anyone like to speak for or against this motion? Okay, in that case, we'll go to a vote. Okay, we'll close the vote. And that has passed. Okay. Moving on to elections for positions selected by council, we have 3 places available on steering committee, and I'll invite Lin Ming to introduce this position.
We have 3 places available for the steering committee, and this committee, me and Jasmine will co-chair of this committee. So it's like a pre-meeting before the student council, and we'll check the word using of the motion, the structure of the motion, and we will discuss about that. If we both think this motion is good, it's clear enough to students, we will send it to the student council, and it can be a real motion, like what we voted last few minutes. Yeah, so yeah, welcome. Welcome to join.
Thank you. If anybody would like to put themselves forward for steering committee, there are 2 meetings left for the academic year, so please put yourself forward to Harris if you would like to. And I really want to that fast. So much. I was in like, he had like long nails on because he was King Herod. Some of them. It's actually just them 2. Look, these. Not. So then he would come home every day and be like, again. And he would like point at me with his nails because all what? I know so much about you. You clearly should push right now. That's good. I know what you know what. Yeah, that is. Thank you. Okay. Different hands. It's contested. I'm gonna be on a go. Oh wait. Yeah, no. Yep, I will. Yeah, okay. Okay, so there are 3 places available and 4 people have put themselves forward. So please can I invite all 4 of those people to come up to speak. Kaz, if you could just grab the microphone and you can pass it among yourselves. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll just ask everybody to introduce themselves and then just speak a little bit about why you would like to be on steering committee. Thank you.
Hello. This thing works.
Yes.
As you guys know, my name is Cass. I'm actually going for steering committee because I'm interested in how the ins and outs of different motions work. I want to observe them, learn them, as well as after increasing my understanding, make sure that it's all going according to how it's supposed to. There's no errors. Working alongside the scrutiny committee, other committees, if need be. And that's about it, actually. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm on the. I've got a bit of a cold, sorry. I'm on the executive committee, so we put through a bunch of the motions, but I never actually see them, what they look like. And when you get here, it's kind of hard to actually know what anyone's on about because there's no context. I think it'd be nice to have that context so I know what I'm voting on.
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm also on the exec committee, but I'm also very involved in Students' Union and other places like Scrutiny. Basically, I want to be on steering because I think it's important to see how the motions go through before they actually reach here. I'd like to be a bit more involved in my last few months of university, so thank you.
I'm also Sophie, and I'm here as part of the AU exec. Sort of want to go for this role because I want to be more involved with sort of the NUSU policy and sort of the democracy. Obviously, I represent a wide range of sports, being on the AU exec and being able to just have an understanding of sort of how it is to bring that out to wider sports. So eventually sort of, if there's someone representing the sports through it, it gets more people into the student council that way.
Please, could I ask the Sophies to clarify which Sophie they are for the voting?
I'm Sophie Dixon-Yule.
Sophie Donaldson.
Thank you. Okay. Just question. Does anybody have any questions or objections for any of our lovely candidates?
Got it. No questions?
Okay. Feel free to take a seat. Thank you. Okay, we'll open that vote then. Should I clarify? You can only vote for one person. That's, yeah, that is standard. Okay. I think we can close that vote now. Can't see. Behind the chair. Okay, so Sophie Dixon-Yule, wait, I can't see. Kaz and Sophie Donaldson are elected. Oh. Okay, and finally we have one place available on Scrutiny Committee. I'll invite George to explain this position. Thank you.
Hey everyone. So Tom asked me to do this because he had to run away and be important. So Scrutiny Committee is, as we have discussed, the committee that sort of keeps an eye on what the officers are doing, makes sure that they're behaving themselves, which I'm sure they always are, and make sure that they are keeping up with their sort of manifesto pledges and that sort of thing. The Scrutiny Committee has tonight changed the way in which it does that, so it's about to get a whole lot more interesting, which is also another incentive to join. I would say that no officers or chairs are allowed to apply for this committee because you can't scrutinise yourself. Does that extend to officers and chairs elect? No? Right, so fine. If you're an officer or chair elect, you can go for it. But yeah, good committee, good fun. And I recommend joining to get a better view of how the organisation works.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, please, yes, okay. Please, please put yourselves forward to Harris if you would like to join. Scrutiny committee for the rest of this academic year. Thank you. Okay. There was one place available, and we've had 3 people put themselves forward, so I'll do the same again. I'll ask everybody to come up and introduce themselves.
Oh, got it.
Do I begin? Yeah. Oh, hello again. Oh, when it comes to scrutiny committee, there is more than just learning when it comes to it. I've been active as a rep within the university itself, and we faced a lot of challenges in communicating with staff, and there are difficulties when it comes to communicating and figuring out who's who. The main issue is there's not a lot of resources for me as just a rep from within the university to work. And I've actually been getting the help of the union to help scrutinize and make sure that the university's attention is brought to a few issues. If there's time, I'll go over a few synopses of them. But I think that if I'm with the scrutiny committee itself, it'd be a lot easier for me to pursue these leads. And I have drafted up some letters, and I've been in communication with staff. Rest assured, whether I get in or not, I am going to follow up on those. This is just for me to make it a bit easier and for it to go through a lot faster, hopefully until the end of the year. Because having union support would be really good, and working within the union would be amazing. Thank you.
Wow. Hi. Hi, I'm Lily.
So hi, I'm Lydia. I currently hold a position on the AU Exec Committee, which is who I'm representing here today. I am also a course rep, and when I heard about the scrutiny committee, I really kind of was encouraged to go for it more to make sure that like the representation is kept transparent. I'm really excited by the new motion that's just passed about how the scrutiny committee is run, and I just want to make sure that student voices are being represented properly, and yeah. So.
Okay. Thank you. Would anybody like to ask any questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll open the vote then. Thank you. Okay, we'll close that vote. And Lydia Bond is elected for Scrutiny Committee. Okay, moving on to student notices and the prize draw. Ooh. Hi. Yes, please. Go on then. Which is the gift? Okay. 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 So, as you'll probably know, we have 3 prizes to give away for everybody who's, well, not for everybody, but in the prize draw for those who have come to the AGM tonight. The first prize is a £50 gift card. The second prize is this lovely little hamper that we've got over here. And the third prize is some yum-yums. Thank you. So, I'm going to go with the opposite order. So, the third place prize goes to... Yes, thank you. Sophie Donaldson. You can come and get your yum-yums if you like. Oh. Speech.
Thank you for the yum-yums.
The second place, sorry. The second place prize goes to Prarana Balu. Yay! And the first place prize is for Ashley Kwan. Okay. Wow, what a thrill. Okay. Are there any Does any other student have anything to raise? Okay, thank goodness. In which case, we'll move on to tonight's open debate, which is how can the SU best support students during the strikes? And I'll invite Leo to come and introduce the open debate.
Hello, yes. So this question, thank you. This question is pretty much what it says on the tin. There's industrial action and strikes going on. What do you think the SU could do to support you? And can't promise it'll change overnight, but what do we think? Oh, and thank you to Hafsa for proposing this, but unfortunately Hafsa's not here tonight because she's at a thing.
I don't know.
I'm not sure like how the SU can do this, but just bringing a point up as a commuter student, just about the strike. So often I pay bus and train tickets to come to university, and what happens when this strikes is obviously the lecturers don't tell us that they're striking, but I will spend say like £6 to £10 on
tickets to come into university to find out that there's no lectures to then go back home. I just wanted to raise that. I don't know how they'll do it because obviously lecturers can't tell you, but if there was anything.
Okay, I'll respond to that actually. I do have an answer for that in that if you arrive at university and find out that all of your sessions have been cancelled that day, you can reclaim the money that you have spent on travel that day. Sorry. The links are available on our website and also the universities.
Can that be published in like a formal document that the student body can know about?
Sorry?
So can that be sort of made can more students be made aware of this? So like, can that be put into official NUSU communications?
It may have been already, but it sounds like we would need to push it some more. Yeah, Anne can speak on that.
So just as a point, I noticed that it's on the NUSU website, so it's on the page about the strikes, and we've communicated and signposted to that page. I mean, we'll continue to do that whilst the action continues, but it is there on the website, and you can easily link to it, which takes you across to the university page.
This isn't a complaint or anything. It's just if you could push that maybe to the schools. I don't know if there's a way to do that. Just I've had personal tutors tell me that there was no support. Now I'm aware, like, if there was any way.
Thank you.
Yeah, so really good points there. I wanted to raise separately that I think NUSU should have a more open and transparent dialogue with the UCU, as I said earlier, with student members who may be striking or considering striking. I know the UCU is really pushing some PGR and PGTA chapters within their school branches and within the university branch as a whole. And I think just as as NUSU collaborates with the NUS, which sort of represents all students, I think a more active and thriving dialogue with UCU members on campus is something that could really sponsor a culture of solidarity and could provide better resources for those students who are choosing to strike.
I will ask. I was actually going to pass back to George and ask what you think that dialogue would look like.
So from conversations I've had within the School of Computing and conversations I've had with PGR colleagues across campus, I think there's a far more vibrant UCU community within the PGR communities than is immediately apparent. I was certainly surprised when I found out how many PGRs in my school are UCU members. And I think in going through the university and in sort of finding out information from the university about when strikes are happening, you potentially limit yourself to the information that they have, which is intrinsically slow. A strike is meant to be disruptive to the university, but I'm quite sure that no lecturer intends on or seeks to impact students. That's not what they're striking for. And I think a more collaborative relationship with the UCU could enable NUSU to be more aware in advance of strikes and impacts and things like that that could be disseminated to students a lot more quickly than if they were getting the information through the university who it's the UCU's intention to disrupt. So by definition, they're going to get very late notice information. So I think that's that sort of spirit of collaboration. You know, a union is a union, a students' union or a trade union. You know, we should recognize solidarity there, and we should be more collaborative than observational, I suppose.
Thank you. Oliver?
Just to contextualize things a bit, what support has NUSU provided students during these strikes, if anything additional than, like, on top of what we usually offer?
Leo?
We have a full list on the website page, which is www.nusu.co.uk/take-a-stance. Yes. Okay. and a lot of it, some of it is the more kind of public facing stuff we've done with drop-ins and stuff. But a lot of it is kind of more behind the scenes. A lot of it is conversations we're having with like the leadership teams and everything about making sure that students get access to things like reimbursements if you've come in, you've traveled, and you don't have teaching. And some of it is also campaigning on kind of like the core issues that have led to UCU striking on a national level, because that is something that NUS and UCU are kind of in conversation about. And that's something we're working on with NUS. It's like everything we're doing on funding, on maintenance, that's kind of towards the same goal as UCU, but obviously as a students' union, the way we do that is different to a trade union.
There's so much more spirit of collaboration, and I think we really need to embrace that union to union rather than via the institution in the middle that is the reason that half of that relationship is currently discontested.
Thank you. Okay. Would anybody else like to contribute, voice an opinion? In which case, would you like to summarize what's been said, Leo?
Oh, God.
Yes, and hopefully by May Council, I'll remember that if I present the debate, I also summarize it. I think there's kind of two things that's come out of this. One of this is making sure we communicate the support we do have very clearly, and the other is around working with UCU to make sure we're all kind of on the same page. Some of it, which does happen, but I realize is not always the most visible. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming. I will just note that our final council of the year will be taking place on the 8th of May at the normal time of 5:15 p.m. back in the Bamba room. And the deadline for those motions will be Friday, the 18th of April. So thank you everybody for coming. Please, on your way out, please don't forget to put your rubbish in the bin. Thank you.